Hello and welcome back. We have seen the results from the missed opportunity scoring and shadow boxing event. Now we examine the results of the Kumites in this video. The main purpose of running these Kumites is to A. include more poolers in a draft, and B. run longer drafts. Our goal is to encourage the various people and publications to produce longer lists so that they can participate in multiple Kumites. Like the Battle of the Hockey Pool guides, the Kumites are a points-only draft. The draft order is randomly assigned, and the order of selection will reverse or snake back every other round. There are no positional restrictions. Every player drafted counts towards the total for the team, and we have removed all known retired, non-active NHL, and long-term injury players from the lists. Inclusion into a Kumite was based on the total number of player projections. We had enough entrants to produce 7 Kumites. As we go through each draft, we will follow this pattern, displaying the randomly selected draft order showing how many predictions were needed to participate, showing the results comparing how each publication did relative to their draft position, and showing the final standings, but also illustrating how they did versus their own projections. We start off with the Kumite 12. In order to participate, a guide needed to have produced a list of at least 704 players. This resulted in a draft of 744 players over 62 rounds. Congratulations go to the Slaykeeper, as they won by a single point. They succeeded drafting from the third position. Second place went to Crom Aggregate Projections, who had the first pick, but could not hold on for the win. But the biggest climber was Yahoo. They moved up 6 spots from 9th to 3rd. The final standings are more clearly visible in this slide. Notice that while the losers are far off from their projections, it does not necessarily mean that the winner was the closest. Yahoo came closest to their own predicted score, but still ended up in 3rd. The Slaykeeper was off by more than 100 points as compared to Yahoo, but only beat them by 15. Dauber Hockey was off by over 600 points, and yet they earned 5th place. We move to the Kumite 16 now, where a list of 614 player projections was needed in order to participate. In this Kumite, it was Dom Lucizen who successfully defended their title victory from the season before. Congrats to Dom! This draft went 38 rounds and 608 players were selected. While Dom moved up 5 spots, RotoWire had the largest gain, but it was Pool Hockey who did poorly with the first overall pick, dropping 10 positions. Dom was the list that came closest to their own predictions, but we want to highlight the fight for second place between Steve's cheat sheet and Left Wing Lock. Which of those two is the better guide? Steve's cheat sheet was closer to their own forecast, but if you look at it from the perspective of being so close and Left Wing Lock much further off, how is it that they're tied? Something similar could be said by RotoWire. Our point being that other evaluations of guides which focus on a purely statistical analysis, like root mean square error of projection values, will miss this. We now move on to the Kumite 20, where a list of 404 was needed in order to partake in this draft. Dom took this title as well. Good for them, and again by drafting from the 6th spot. This draft went 27 rounds long, and a total of 540 players were picked. The biggest gain was by Pool Expert from the last position, but 2 others, Left Wing Lock and McKean's Hockey, did well. The largest decline was from the pooler who had the first overall pick. This time it was Evolving Hockey. Dom's victory was secured with a 75-point lead, and their predictions were very close. Crom Aggregate was the next best in terms of meeting their expectations, but could only take 8th place. A guide needed 352 predictions to participate in the Kumite 24. This time our winner benefited or took advantage of the first overall pick. Congratulations goes to Ultimate Pool Preview for their victory in this 20-round draft where a total of 480 players were selected. The biggest gains were from Fantrax and Hockey Le Magazine. Dom did well too. The largest drop was by Prime Pucks, drafting from the second spot. Does it surprise you that Dom had the list which was closest to their predictions? They only earned second place, but they did so drafting from 17th. Ultimate Pool Preview did well to match their predictions, but they certainly were buoyed by that first overall pick. One thing that I'm noticing is that as more and more owners are being added to these Kumite drafts, the lower the differences are between their projections and true scores. I guess that it comes from fewer players being drafted per team. The next Kumite had 28 participants, where a list of 296 players got you in. A third Kumite title goes to Dom Lucizen. Is it just luck, or is this the list to beat? Fresh Sheets had the biggest positional gain, whereas Scott Cullen had the worst drop. I believe this is the first instance where our participants actually outperformed their forecasts. Both Fresh Sheets and Dom did just that. Here is another thought to contemplate. If the guides which ended up between 3rd and 7th were to theoretically be perfect with their projections of their players, they still would have lost to Dom. Our first Kumite of 32 guides is next, and a list of 273 is all that was needed to be able to play, which was only 23 players fewer than the Kumite 28. The winner was Steve's cheat sheet. If we remember, they tied for second in the Kumite 16. Congratulations to them for this victory. The biggest gain was from hockeydraft.ca, and from the appearance of all the positive gains at the bottom of the draft order, maybe this is why some people espouse to wanting the wheel pick, the illusion of having done better than expected. But that is far different than winning the title. The largest drop once again went to the guy drafting first overall. This time it was CBS Fantasy. Maybe this is why people are scared off of having the first pick. We see a similar pattern of small differentials for the teams that generally performed better versus the teams that did poorly. However, we also see outliers, such as Chrome Aggregate, Scott Cullen, Fresh Sheets, and Pool Hockey. We are now at our final Kumite of the 2021-22 season. This one needed a list of 213 to be part of it. The Hockey Fanatic, with the first overall pick, wasn't jinxed, but only managed to earn second place. The title instead went to Apples and Genos, drafting out of the 10th spot. Congratulations to them. The biggest gain, yes, it went to Dom, but they could only secure third place this time. Apples and Genos was one of the rare results which outperformed their own predictions. Steve's cheat sheet was only 9 points off from being perfect with their own, but could only earn 6th place. Aside from all the other differentials, I want to point out that there are two lists here which would not normally be evaluated by pure statistical means. They are Marqueur and Dauber's Monthly 300. There are other lists out there as well, but they did not have enough players on their list to participate in these Kumites. Marqueur in particular came in 10th place, but would have been discounted by a statistical calculation. In this singular case, they outperformed 26 other guides. In summary, our white belt winner was Apples and Genos. The gray belt went to Steve's cheat sheet. The black belt went to Dom Lucizen. The brown belt winner was Ultimate Pool Preview. Purple and orange belts go to Dom L. And the blue belt winner was the Slate Keeper. You probably have already suspected or guessed, the Kumite's most prized guide with 3 victories, 1 second place finish, and 2 third place results was Dom. Well done! As you may remember, but in case you haven't, we acknowledge that these Kumites are just one outcome in many, many, many millions of possibilities, which is why we still have the Battle of the Hockey Pool guides to run through. Will those outcomes validate the results from the Kumite, or will someone else earn the title of Battle of the Hockey Pool Guides champion? Stay tuned to find out.